Welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining live from Jam Studios. We want to welcome you to the live. But now, join the crew. Become a member. Get regular shout outs, features, behind the scene access to videos from Atlanta and more. Become a member. We appreciate you. Now, getting right into it. Breaking news, R. Kelly's daughter Joann Kelly has finally broken her silence about the years of abuse she endured at the hands of her father. For years, R. Kelly was celebrated as a music icon known for his chart-topping hits and flamboyant stage presence, but behind the glitz and glamour, a dark secret was unfolding. Joann Kelly, R. Kelly's daughter, has finally broken her silence about the abuse she endured in a new documentary titled R. Kelly's Drama, A Daughter's Journey. She shares her harrowing experiences growing up in a household dominated by her father's controlling behavior. Joann describes feelings of isolation, being scared and alone. She didn't know who to trust. Her father's manipulation and abuse had a profound impact on her life, as well as others. And you may recall the documentary Surviving R. Kelly, which also features testimonies from other victims of R. Kelly who describe similar patterns of abuse and manipulation. The allegations against R. Kelly are serious and disturbing. And right now we want to just go ahead and take a look at this trailer dropping from R. Kelly's daughter, Joann.
Abi, whose real name is Joann Kelly, she spoke out in support of her father's accusers in a lengthy Instagram post. So she claims to be devastated.
And today R. Kelly was sentenced to prison for his many crimes against underage girls.
Nobody wants to be the child of the father that is out here hurting women and children.
Everywhere we go, everything we do, it's always gonna have some type of like double meaning under it, or someone's gonna read between lines that aren't there.
He knows exactly why we can't have the relationship that we would have liked to have with him.
Just because you're not a good husband doesn't mean you can't be a good father. And the fact that he didn't even try. What he did to me, he did to me. But you didn't have to do it to my damn kids.
What he has done to those kids, there is no other word for him. He's a monster.
I know that there were so many things going on. There were some times I thought I wouldn't make it.
He was my everything. For a long time, I didn't even want to believe that it happened. I didn't know that even if he was a bad person, that he would do something to me. I really feel like that 1 millisecond completely just changed my whole life. If my son asks questions, I'm gonna be as truthful as possible. But I will not be taking my son to a prison to meet his grandfather.
And sometimes it was easy to not say anything.
So that
Hey,
there,
I'm Stephen Karst, co-founder of...
that there is a trailer of the new documentary dropping with featuring Joann Kelly. Joann's courage to share her story is inspiring. She hopes her testimony will empower other victims of abuse to come forward, just like the ones who came forward prior when Surviving R. Kelly dropped. Now, again, the documentary featuring Joann Kelly appears to be a powerful and disturbing look at the dark side of fame, especially in light of what's going on with Diddy. It's a must watch. I think we can agree on that for anyone who wants to understand the devastating impact of abuse. Now, as the investigation into R. Kelly continues, the world is grappling with the complexities of fame and the devastating consequences of the situation. Joann Kelly's story is a reminder that even the most celebrated individuals can be capable of great harm. Now, in what is probably less than a coincidence, the Atlanta Black Star actually published an interview with Drea Kelly to their YouTube channel. And before we watch, here are a few of the key points. Drea and R. Kelly have not spoken in over 10 years, rather. Their last conversation was tense and involved disagreements about parenting and personal boundaries. Drea describes the relationship with R. Kelly as complex and tumultuous, to say the least, I'm sure. Now, as reported, she experienced a lot at the hands of R. Kelly, which has significantly impacted her life and the lives of her children, as we just witnessed. And she's chosen to keep R. Kelly's last name as a symbol of resilience and independence. A lot of people take issue with that. You can go right over to Twitter to see just how much of an issue they've taken. And she has experienced domestic issues at the hands of R. Kelly, including things that we won't mention here. But she was able to escape the situation and seek help. Now she's used her experience to advocate for survivors. And let's take a look at this interview.
God, that had to be over 10 years ago. Yeah.
So y'all haven't spoken in 10 years.
There's nothing to say.
And what was the last conversation like?
Don't play with me, don't play with my kids. I'm not that little girl. I'm not that 19-year-old that walked into that audition. I'm a lioness and these are my cubs. Don't play with me.
Now with the children, how was he as a father?
Horrible.
Really?
I mean, there's just...
If your paycheck gets drained every
I think that men in a position of power confuse being a provider with being a father. Because there's a mansion, because there's a nanny, because there's a driver, those are things that you provide. Being a father means you need to be present. And at the end of the day, you're your own boss. So the excuse of I was in the studio or I'm traveling, I'm doing this, your children become before everything. Because at the end of the day, you never sell another album, or if you're in prison, you're still somebody's father.
What is it like with the children and their relationship with him now?
This is going to sound odd to a lot of people. I really don't know. They're adults now. I have stepped away when Robert Jr. turned 18. I was like, whatever you decide from this point, if you want to call him, you don't have to get permission. If you want to go visit him in jail, you don't have to get my permission. You're a young adult now. That is up to you. But I've always been that mother that I knew how to separate him not being a good husband and the relationship with him and his children as their father. Those are two separate things. So whatever my children feel, if you love them and want to see them, great. Yeah. If you hate them and never want to talk to them again, great. That is your decision, because I know what it's like to be his ex-wife, his wife. I can kind of separate myself from that. They share DNA. That's forever.
How did your parents feel about him? Knowing the cycle of abuse that you observed, what was their viewpoint on him as a person and his treatment of you?
I will tell you this, my dad is a retired naval officer, and he said the next time, if ever it comes to it, y'all will see me on the glass like this. So y'all figure that out for yourself. My dad was like, I better not ever run across that man on the street, ever. But the respect I have for my father, he's like, but because that is the father of my grandchildren, that is the only grace he gets. Only.
That's an interesting perspective considering what you've observed even growing up. Yeah. I think that, a lot of times people take note of people in prison or people that the biggest gangsters, but we all have a soft spot.
Yeah.
And, figuring out what that is. And a lot of times I've seen some tough guys, if their mamas, hey, we gonna come after your mama now, or your kids, your grandkids. So clearly, that was a tender moment for your father.
Yeah, because
Okay.
for him, it's like, okay, one blow, that was my daughter, but now it's the second, third, and fourth with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
So that just took my dad over the edge. He was like, yeah, I'm
Wow.
good.
What was conversation like? Did you understand the cycle of abuse that he had been through growing up? Did y'all ever talk about that?
I did.
Really? Because from what I've read and researched and seen, it seems as if, I mean, he was abusing men, women, just whatever. Is that accurate?
But I think it stems from his childhood, being molested by a man and a woman.
So wow. So that's confirmed that he was molested by both men and women.
Men and women.
Wow.
Dealing with illiteracy, not being able to read.
Now, we would hear about these things, but it was never really confirmed.
Oh, God, yeah. It's, what's the best way to describe? I don't want to say a humbling. Sitting with him, and I remember going through a Dr. Seuss book. And he gets out of the bed and he goes in the hallway, and I'm like what's, like, he just transformed into this little boy right before my eyes, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, we're just reading stories to the kids, what's going on? And he shared with me, he said, Drea, I don't want to do that in front of them. And I said, but why? He was like, I can't read to them what's in that book. I don't want my kids to know I can't read. I said, but Robert, what you have to understand is they can't read either. You are magical in here. Make up the story as you go. I'll help you sound it out. And literally, I was teaching him to read through Dr. Seuss books. But I feel that it was a love-hate relationship, because he would use that against me at times. He would also say, oh, you think you better than me because you can read. So I think he always had a love-hate relationship with me.
So you were seemingly living out The Color Purple.
It's very hard to watch that movie.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow.
But in the end,
yeah,
I'm gonna leave that right there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to keep the last name?
'Cause I paid for this name in blood, sweat, and tears, literally. Literally. Like, after watching What's Love Got to Do with It, I was in the midst of it and coming out of it, and I understood why she said, you can have everything, but I'm keeping this name. Nobody knows what it's like to be me. And at the end of the day, you know, it's very odd to me that we live in a society, you crucify me for having the last name, but you would not be on my social media and care who I was if I didn't have the last name. So I just let people know real early out the gate, you shouldn't care why I kept the last name. You should be concerned about what I'm doing with the last name. Because I have this last name, 2020 comes and follows me for a day. I've been on CNN. I've been on the platforms. I've been able to speak in Anguilla and on military bases, talking about domestic violence awareness and sex trafficking awareness because of the last name. So let's not be concerned about why. We should be applauding what I'm doing with it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out here with last names, and y'all are promoting complete bullshit in our community.
Yeah. So you go from falling in love with this man to one of the things I read is, you know, he hog-tied you.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, this is, for me, mind-blowing. Anytime you hear any.
Are you looking to establish your business using an and personal number? Wouldn't it be great if you could read and manage your business mail from anywhere?
The way you told the story, it seemed as if he hog-tied you, you were on the side of the bed, and he went to sleep in the bed?
He fell asleep.
And how many hours were you tied up?
I don't even know. I just remember being like, all right, think. You are a dancer. You're flexible. What can you do? I know I can get my feet as close to my head as possible. Like, literally, it felt like a scene out of the movies where they kidnap somebody and throw them in the back of the van, and then they cut to the scene where the person just been there for hours, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, so either I'm going to figure out how to get out of this, or when he wakes up, I don't know what monster. I don't know if I'm getting the teddy bear or the grizzly bear when he wakes up. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm getting out of this. It was crazy. Like, if there was social media back then, that would have been a mess. Like, literally me escaping, running out the house, running down the street, in the park, hopping the fence, and he's chasing me.
So wait a minute. After he wakes up?
Yeah. So our bedroom had an automatic lock on it. And that's another thing that people are like, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? And I'm like, you have no idea the fortress I lived in. Okay. That's number one. So the door had an automatic lock, and it was like one of the magnetic locks. So when you lock the door, in order to get out, you have to push a button, and it makes this click noise that makes a bell go off. So I'm like, even when I get out of this, I gotta push that damn button, and that, oh, okay, how do you, so I had to be lightning quick, like push it, open the door, click. That's what woke him up.
So you woke him up because you eventually got
running,
out.
yes, running down the stairs. So I'm like, shit, I got to get down all these stairs to the front door. I'm like, there's no time to grab a purse. There's no time to grab shoes. There's no time to do anything. I got about 10 seconds to get from that third floor down to the first floor to get to the door and out the door. I was like, okay, here we go. And me and him running down the damn street looking stupid.
Did you before?
There you have it, folks. That's the interview with the ATL Black Star, Atlanta Black Star, with Joann Kelly. That coincided with pretty much the launch and release of the trailer for Joann Kelly and her documentary. So let us know what you think about this whole situation. Do you intend to watch this documentary? Do you think it's going to hold any value to the overall situation with R. Kelly? If so, let us know. We'll catch you in the next one.